It's for all the dreamers out there.
You're gonna be great. You're gonna be great.
Welcome to the Coaching for Change podcast. As co-founders of Coaching for Change, Marquise and I have been working with college-age young adults for the last 12 years or so. There's a wealth of knowledge and experience in each of their stories as they prove over and over again that they have what it takes to succeed and to lift the world around them. This podcast is our opportunity to share those stories with you, to relate, to learn, and to motivate.
Coaching for Change is a nonprofit organization where we recruit, train, and place college students in schools to serve as academic tutors, behavioral specialists, and family engagement coordinators.
Welcome to this episode of the podcast, our group from Roger Williams University. I'm your co-host today, Pete Berman. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer at Coaching for Change.
And I'm Marquise Taylor, co-founder and CEO of Coaching for Change.
And if you guys could introduce yourself to the audience, please.
We can start on this side. My name is Josh Wangara, from Hillside, New Jersey, computer engineering major, rising senior. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Hi, my name is Isaiah St. Bill. I'm from Spencer, Massachusetts. My major is both finance and accounting, and I'm also a senior.
I'm Christian Barboza. I'm from Brockton, Massachusetts. I am a senior as well. I'm an accounting major, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
Special shout out to the Fall River Public Schools. We are currently in Henry Lord Community School, a K-8 school here in Fall River. They've been amazingly generous to donate this space to us for filming today. And guys, starting this podcast in a K-8 school, I'd love to hear some of your background about the journey that you took in the beginning of life when you were this like kindergarten through 8th grade age group. What was growing up like? What was school like for you, home life? Tell me a little bit about those years growing up.
For me personally, I feel like it was a difference in the way that I grew up. I feel like it helped me become the person I am today. Definitely from growing up from Brockton, it was kind of a tough neighborhood. Like, I was never even allowed to go to the front of the yard. It was like always stay in the back. And then going to school, was never allowed to go to any of like my friend's house. It was like strictly school at home, kind of do your work, which I really do thank my parents for, because it made me stay on like the right track. And without that, I don't think I would have probably made it that far. As a lot of people don't make it to college. They don't look to further their careers or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They kind of just get stuck and mix with the wrong crowds, and then things go sideways. But I definitely do like Davis, where I went through K-8. Coaching for Change was there, and I feel like that also helped a lot of my friends, as a lot of them were staying after school till I think it was like 5 p.m. They were just talking about how they would play sports after and like all the different activities and how it was fun. And I feel like that was like a great way to kind of keep everybody on the right path and make sure they're not doing anything out of school that was like wrong.
I loved our days at Davis, by the way. And I know you told me you didn't get to be a part of those programs. I'm sorry. I wish we could have had you there. We had a lot of the mentors from Stonehill College and Bridgewater State University at the time were just putting on a show. It was awesome. We had basketball leagues and soccer leagues, and they were doing all these puzzles and coloring and homework time. The kids at Davis were awesome. Whoever your friends were that were in our program, we had a great time with that.
For me, I went through a few different schools growing up, just through like moving different schools. And then when I officially moved from where I was, it was different environment. But for me, it was definitely an experience. I was a troublemaker when I was very young. I didn't get better behaved in school until like the 4th, 5th grade. So I just had a lot of energy. Didn't really know how to like get it out. I was a chatterbox, talked a lot, class clown. But I think like just those experiences and just like 4th, 5th grade, like really maturing before I went to 6th grade really helped shape me where I am going, as well as having like strict parents. That also helped. me get into the right track. So yeah.
Is that, you said moving around a lot. Did you move locations or just different schools within Spencer?
Just different schools before I moved to Spencer.
Okay.
So I lived in Brockton for a little bit. I went to a Seventh-day Adventist private school, and then from there I moved to Avon, where I went to Butler Elementary School, and then from there I moved back to a Seventh-day Adventist private school, and then from there we officially moved to Spencer, Mass, and then I went to Knox Trail Middle School. So yeah,
okay.
went through a few schools.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaiah.
Yeah, kind of going off that, thinking of how I wanted to phrase my response, I was thinking about my parents and how they're very religious and how that tied into my K through 8 and my growing up in general. And we are Seventh-day Adventists, so my parents were born and raised in Kenya, and then they immigrated to the U.S. Before I was born, and I was the first one of my siblings of 4, which we hadn't gone over yet, but I'm the second to last born of 5, and so it was a big house, and we were always rooted in like church and Christ. So I feel like that was a big a big portion of the guidance my parents were giving me, along with the Kenyan cultures that they still hold on to, and can't go to your friend's house. If I don't know their parents, then you can't be going to their place or having them around. But in terms of schooling, I went to school in Hillside, New Jersey, stayed in that school district K through 12, and it was kind of very structured. It was a smaller district, not like other like Newark public schools, but there was like only one other school you would go to after you finish your school, and there was because they broke out of the K through 12 or K through 8 school system, so we had a school from like it was like it was separated. It's not important, but yeah, that was a big religion, and the Kenyan culture is a big portion of my K through 8 growing up, and those beliefs are what structured me as the person I am today.
Nice. So Josh, starting with you, because you've come the farthest to be at Roger Williams, how'd you end up here?
So yeah, Roger Williams initially wasn't on the scope, like it wasn't like, oh, I wanted to or had the aspirations to come to school in Rhode Island or New England, but it just so happened that in the college search, I was in a program called College Map, which there would be like monthly meetings, and depending on what year and like what stage you were in the program would be college essays or college trips, things of that nature, and then networking things. And I was able to go the summer of my junior year to visit Roger Williams University, and then I was introduced to like the multicultural center and the DEI before it was like a official office, like the people who worked in the offices there, and found out about the intercultural leadership ambassador scholarship that I applied for and that I have. And once I got that and was admitted to the engineering program, when weighing my options with schools, it was the most affordable, so came up here, and met the homies. Yeah.
Have you guys known each other the whole time? Like, did you become friends freshman year, and this is the journey together?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Me and Christian became friends the first year. It was like the first week we met on the basketball court, and then we kind of just been friends since. Yeah.
How did you scoop the one in the middle?
How did we meet Zay? We met Zay.
We met during orientation.
Yeah.
We met.
Yeah.
Honestly, even before that too.
Yeah,
at the basketball court.
We all kind of met through basketball, but like
Okay.
we'd see each other around our school being so small and being one of the few guys of color. Like there's naturally that gravitation towards each other, and then similar interest of basketball would bring us to the same spot. I guess that's how we formally met, but we always just grab food, chill, chat. So yeah.
So I'm curious to hear more, and we'll get into some more vulnerable stuff eventually. But I know you guys do a lot of different extracurricular things aligned to each other. You're all RAs, right? Yeah. And you're in at least one club together as well. Yeah. So how'd you start getting involved in those extracurriculars, and what kind of role does that play for you on campus?
I think for me, just starting off, like for RA, definitely knew like if I was gonna live on campus, I needed something to help make that price a little bit cheaper. So that was like the minute I got to school, I knew like I wanted to be an RA. Want to help the students, but it's also a great financial benefit. For someone who's paying for school, that was like definitely something that very helped. And then going forward, Christian had told me about barbershop. Got involved through there, applied to be an orientation advisor. That's where me and Josh got really close. And just from there, like working as an orientation advisor and learning about the other clubs and organizations on campus really helped like direct me into learning about new things, joining new clubs, etc.
Nice.
So you guys actually have a barbershop on campus?
It's not. We call it barbershop, but we kind of treat it like a barbershop.
Okay.
Like we meet every Friday in the classroom, and it's the same conversations that would go on like in a barbershop. Like we're talking about sports, we're talking about news, or what's going on in our lives. Yeah. And it's kind of like a safe space for us, and since it's a PWI, so it's kind of like our little meetup spot every Friday. Then after that, we all go out and get food. We put on a whole bunch of different events. We started doing a fashion show 2 years ago, and that ended up becoming probably, I'd say that's the biggest event on campus now. So.
Really?
Nice.
100%.
Through barbershop? That's who puts it on?
Nice.
So is this a big group? It's not just the three of you hanging out in the classroom on Fridays?
It's not a big group, but it's probably like 20 to 30. So I think we get the least amount of funding. I think we have the least amount of students in our club, but I think our production and everything like that is probably the biggest.
So if you're around October 11th?
October 14th.
14th.
October 14th is the fashion show?
October 14th is the fashion show.
Okay.
All right.
So do you have designers for that? Are you the designers? How
we're
does
kind
that
of,
work?
we basically pick a theme and then leave it up to the models to kind of create their own. So it's up to them completely whatever they want to wear. Mm-hmm. It just has to kind of relate to the theme, and it gives everybody that creative, like, so they can be creative and put on what they feel comfortable in and what they think is nice and cool. Yep. And we just showcase it. And then we try to get other talents like entertainers from the school or anywhere around the area, any local. So we've had past piano players, we've had dancers, we've had singers, poets, rappers. So it's kind of just to give everybody a chance.
Do you have to be in college to participate?
No.
I'm not trying to be a model. I'm just saying for anybody out there looking for events.
No.
My bad.
We've been accepting everybody.
Okay.
It's just a few papers that you have to sign. That's about it. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
That's awesome. So what are you guys most looking forward to as seniors?
Getting my CPA out the way.
Okay.
That is, I'm studying for that right now, and just going through that whole process. And once it's done, it will be a big weight off my shoulder. Definitely help my academic career. But like on a personal level, definitely like making more connections with these guys. We're kind of far away from each other. So like after college, it's not going to be like, hey, pick up basketball tonight, you know what I mean? Or grab food. So definitely just like enjoying the moments we have. Like the car ride here, a lot of fun. Car ride back's gonna be a lot of fun. It just moments like those. It's just having a good time with each other before we have to give that goodbye.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd say I'm looking forward to the security of like having a job offer and like knowing what I'm doing, or like knowing where I'm gonna start my career, and I look forward to having that sigh of relief of like, I know what I'm doing, then like, enjoying the moments we have left with, at the school even, or this like moment of our lives, academia, the protection of just being a student, Spotify discount. They just upped the price like $1. Yeah. I felt that like, dang, I'm gonna have to pay $10 still. my OneDrive storage. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. So, yeah, it's like enjoying the perks of being a student. Having your whole
discounts.
life be confined within like, uh, the 4 or 5 miles that we spend within the week. But there's pros and cons to the both. But just enjoying the accessibility of things. Yeah.
For me, I think I have a couple things. Definitely barbershop is one of the biggest things because I'm now the president of it, and like I've seen this club grow from the start. So that's one of my biggest things now that it's like kind of in my hands to take it forward and pass it on to the next, like the lower students who are up and coming. Also full time, that is something like I'm extremely excited for. Growing up like in poverty, never having money, so even though it's not a ton of money, but this is definitely like a really big difference that I really want to secure. And mainly like graduation, I'm gonna be the first out of my entire friend group, and I have plenty of friends back home, but I'm gonna be the first one to graduate from college too.
Awesome.
Congrats on that.
Congrats,
That's huge.
And
That's
then-
huge.
For them, I'm not really worried because I think we're pretty locked in, so I feel like I'm still gonna be seeing them. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's cool. So I'm hearing a lot of stuff around leadership from you guys. It seems like a big part of who you're becoming now is taking on different leadership roles and like finding your way to be successful as leaders. I'm curious to hear what kind of pushes you to do that, and like how do you see leadership for yourselves to be successful?
I think for me, I didn't have a choice in that regard. So I'm the oldest. I have 3 younger siblings. So I feel like just me growing up like in that environment, like strict parents, religious parents, it was more like it's not a choice, it's a responsibility. And so that kind of helped define who I am as a person. And just growing up like in that environment, it's kind of something that I've carried now with me, that like I want to be a leader. I want to continue doing leadership roles, and just like even in my career want to, reach it to the top where I can be a leader to someone, look up to, and, just help people who want to get to that next level. I think that's kind of where I am at. So for me, I don't think it was like, hey, like I wanted to be a leader, but I think for me, it was more like my parents instilled that in me. And as I got older, I kind of clinged onto it, and now it's kind of become who I am.
Awesome.
I think I had a little switch. I was kind of just going with the flow with everything in school. My sophomore year, I wasn't doing the best, and I'm not really sure what happened. It's just kind of overnight, something just kind of like clicked with me that I kind of had to just do better. And once I started, I really started speaking to Zay a lot too, and then my brother and I started really focusing on school. And then once I started getting, like, I went on like a little roll, and after that I just started joining clubs. I got RA, I joined Beta Alpha Psi, which is an accounting fraternity. I became the treasurer of that. Then we created the accounting club on campus for the younger students who weren't allowed to join the fraternity just yet. So I'm the treasurer of that still currently. And then I was always with barbershop, but I was kind of always like on the edge, just hiding in the shadow. And I kind of really stepped forward, became the treasurer of that, and that's what kind of brought me to being president. And then RA as well. I was just really getting involved, and that kind of motivated me to try to help out others. And I don't know, I just kind of enjoy it, and it makes me feel better about myself too, and knowing that I can make somebody else's like life and career become more achievable. And even me and Josh are currently working on a conference that we're trying to do in November for students. We want to give everybody else an opportunity to kind of meet different people and network, but also get to meet different recruiters, see what companies they would like, and give them also experience on resume building and LinkedIn building and different aspects of kind of the real world, and just kind of help them out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. What about you, Josh?
Yeah. For me, I would say the leadership stems just in that, like, I'm very particular in the way I like to do things, or I'd say it stems from like watching my siblings and how they've, how like my older sister had to like lead over all of us growing up when our parents were at work, or, same thing for my older brother and my other older sister. But at school, just again, yeah, I knew when I came in, I wanted to be an RA to help, pay for room and board, as that was like one of the only costs. And my elder sister was an RA, so that was like a position that I aspired to have. And I tried to navigate my way around the community to make my way there by becoming an orientation advisor, to get involved and see the different offices on campus. And other things I'm involved with is American Society of Mechanical Engineers, which I'm the president of. And that just coming from wanting to be more involved with like mechanical hands-on projects, because I'm a computer engineering major. So, most of my classes are based in like coding. And then through that, and with the help of a professor, we started Multicultural STEM Alliance Club, which is one of the clubs that's gonna host the conference that we're planning to host in the fall. And our position we talked about. I did student senate for a little bit, and that was just I got encouraged from the old president of the barbershop to help, bring some initiatives to campus. There was a new council that was just formed, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. So I saw it as a perfect opportunity to become a senator and, start advocating for some of the changes that I wanted to see in the clubs that I was a part of. And then with that, we made the affinity charter classification for clubs. So like Christian mentioned, the barbershop club having, not as many members in number due to like the nature affinity group of the club is not going to have as many students that are given the demographic of our school, but that hinders the club from programming and access to funding and things like that. So through the DEI Council, we made the affinity charter classification to allow those clubs to get more equitable funding for programming. So that was another leadership role that I was able to take on at Roger Williams. And I kind of just always, I don't know, I'm just always doing something to keep me busy and excited to expand my skill set. I feel like learning agility is a very desirable trait, or like good trait to have, and just that you can do whatever as you're interested. And I lose and gain interest extremely quickly. I just bought a driving simulator that we've been playing like all week. So.
Like F1 driving stuff?
Nah, it could be. It's just like a steering wheel, shifter, and the pedals, and I hooked it up to my PC. So I just like, complete side note by the way, but like now that I'm thinking about it and I'm starting to talk about it, but like as I gain interest, I just like take on different responsibilities, and I just like to challenge myself. So it's kind of how I've taken on leadership.
And has that like just kind of like your natural nature, or is it something that's developed while you've been in college?
I'd say it's definitely developed more while I've been in college, as I've like found myself and like things that I like. As moving out of your parents' house, you start to figure out like when you want to eat, because before it was like, this is when, there's dinner or different things like that. So as I learned more about myself, it was definitely more natural for me, but I wouldn't say it was like a complete shift as I came to college. I had positions in high school that led me to the scholarship I have, intercultural leadership ambassador. It's a scholarship. The demographic is a lot of leaders, I guess, and it's kind of just been a little natural.
That's awesome. Nice. So, one of the things I'm hearing a lot of is trying new things and like jumping in to get involved with something and to push yourself and develop new skills. So kind of two parts. We'll start with the first. Take a minute and think about this too, like back to your younger selves. Do you remember a first time or a meaningful memory of when you were younger and pushed yourself to try something new, or had an older sibling or parents or whoever saying, hey, I think you should try to get involved with this even though you've never done it before? What was that experience like for you?
For me, I think mine was sports. So my brother went into wrestling. So my whole family did football. So as a kid, I was like, yeah, I'm doing football 100%. Then my brother decided I'm going to try out wrestling. Nobody really agreed, my whole entire family, all the aunts and uncles, they don't like fighting. Like every time we play fight, they'll like yell at us, like you gotta stop. So since my brother went at wrestling, it was like an offset for my parents. I was in the 3rd grade and he brought me to one of the practices. I didn't really know what I was doing, but just the cardio alone, I was trying it for the first time. I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. So I stopped going 6th grade. I wanted to do sports again. I ended up joining a baseball team for like 2 years. I did football for like 3 years. I did volleyball. I was just trying out every single sport. And then to go into high school, I ended up going back to wrestling and then staying for like my entire 4 years there. So it was kind of crazy. Trying things out is definitely difficult, but I think it helps you kind of mentally and build toughness. So for me, wrestling, I wasn't expecting it. I didn't like it. It was hard. It was complicated. It's difficult. I had asthma. I couldn't breathe. The coach is like, breathe. It's like, I need my inhaler. He's like, no, breathe. And it's at the point where now I think I'm so mentally tough. I can't tell you last time I even seen my inhaler. I don't even know where that is now. And just in life, I think it helped me grow as a person. And I feel like I'm so mentally tough for almost anything. And I feel like I don't really break down now or anything like that. But it was all because I would say wrestling, just because I gave it that try.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I would say for me, sports as well, basketball. Not trying it in particular, but like asking kids to play. I think like, going to the park, I got 3 younger siblings, so I'm shooting hoops by myself, but then I'll see some kids playing, I'm a little shy, like I don't really want to go be like, hey, can I play? And then, they always say like, what's the worst they can say? No, you know what I mean? So I think like that was something not new, but it gave me a sort of confidence, just like my parents saying like, you can't not just go ask someone to play. You know what I mean? Like, worst they can say is no. Best scenario, you make a friend. So, like just going out, asking people like, I'm shooting hoops, like, hey, I'm Isaiah, it's nice to meet you. You want to play ball? Yeah. And, I've met a lot of my friends like to this day through that, and just have even more confidence, like just going out in the business world, just being like, hey, like my name's Isaiah, I want to get to where you are. How do I get there? And most of the time, like that person is going to be willing to help you because you took that initiative. So I think like that, just that scenario, just helping me build confidence in myself, something that helped me a lot.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'd also have the similar theme of sports, but I'd say before that, even just my parents, so much of the Kenyan culture is like, it wasn't new to me because I grew up with it, but if there were to be something new, it wasn't an option for me growing up. Like if there was like a food or something that say I didn't like or didn't know about, like that was what we had, that was what you ate. So I was always accustomed to like just doing something out of your comfort zone. I would rephrase it in saying that there wasn't like, yeah, you had your comfort zone, but like it was very different growing up with foreign parents. Like your comfort zone is what is like kind of predefined for you. Like there's certain things you could be comfortable about, but then there's certain things like whether you like it or not, you're going to church on Saturday. You're going to church. Or like, you have a stomach ache, you're going to church. So like Christian said, the mental toughness comes from things like that. And other than that, like sports, my childhood friend and homie now, Boris, kind of introduced me to basketball and football, just like getting involved with like the town teams, or it was just something out of the comfort zone for my parents. Like, they don't sign. You don't usually get signed up for sports. You go to church and do whatever's happening at church. So going, I want to play this league, but having a friend that they knew was in sports got me into sports. And then since then, that's kind of how I've like branched out and got to do things that I've liked. So definitely. Yeah.
I got a similar story to that one. I remember my mom and I went to church every Sunday, went to Bible study every Tuesday. And as I got older, I started getting different opportunities to play on like AAU teams. And my mom was like, you're not playing AAU. You are going to church, right? But then I guess the pastor, someone spoke to her and goes, this is an opportunity for him to get a scholarship, to get college paid for. She was like, no, we got to praise God. And he goes, well, God ain't going to pay for the scholarship, right? Like, he gave him talent to be able to use it. So, like, I know the frequency of church and being there all the time. Yeah.
Every Saturday.
Yeah.
Wake up. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Can't be late either.
No.
Not be
Not be
late.
And I feel like the culture, like at least for me, all the Cape Verdean like churches were so much longer. I feel like it was like 3 hours and it's just sitting there every morning, tired, trying not to fall asleep so I don't get hit. And just
You never broke out into the Holy Ghost?
And it's hot too.
Yeah.
They don't got no AC.
sometimes it's so packed that you have to stand like almost at the door of the entrance.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good.
Oh, man. And so, like, you guys talked a little bit about mental toughness, right? And so, like, what does that look like? What does that feel like for if you're talking to a middle school kid about it, right? Because there's this element of just like, at least I'll speak for myself, right? When a coach told me or my mom, just do it, right? Like, it was painful, right? In reflection, we're like, yo, this is what we needed, right? But, like, how do you, like, what advice would you give to help a middle school student develop or have a mindset around mental toughness when, like, they don't want to eat at 5 o'clock, right? Like how do you have that conversation with them, or how would you think about that?
I think that's like interesting. Like Josh said, like dinner was at 5 at home. You know, if I didn't eat that was breakfast the next morning. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have that type of choice. So I think that built mental toughness for me. But I think like just diving head first. Like I would tell a middle schooler, like, hey, just try it. You know, like nothing bad's gonna happen to you if you don't like it. But like at least you tried it, and now you know you can start to like find yourself a little bit more. Like you don't really know yourself until you try new things. And so like, hey, like maybe you try basketball, you don't like it, but you find out like, hey, I'm really good at football. You wouldn't know unless you tried it. And maybe, you know, you take football all the way to the college level and now you have it paid for. You know what I mean? So just like diving head first, because, you know, you could be one step away from living, you know, the dream life that you want, but you would never know if you don't take that step.
Yeah, just logically thinking. Well, for me, the way I would try to talk to a middle schooler about it is like, I think I process things very logically, and I try to just measure pros and cons of the situation, which is easier to do as you like get older and you've experienced more things. So to a middle schooler, kind of just like bringing the scope down to things of their level, like it isn't the end of the world. Like Zay said, like what's the worst that could happen? You know, it's a very like kind of just reminding them of time. Like even if what you're gonna try right now doesn't work, in 3 months you're gonna be trying something different. Like just encouraging them to just be true to themselves first and foremost, because like that's what matters most. And it's a period of their life where I feel like societal factors are more heavily felt at that age. Like I feel like what your friends are doing is like seems like number one on your priority list when you're in middle school. So just reminding them that they are a person, like they're in like the stage of their life right now is very like it's a stage. Like you're still developing, there's still time, you know. A lot of things feel like life or death, or it's not the end of the world. So just giving that approach and trying to calm down depending on the situation.
I think for me, something that kind of always stuck with me that like my high school coaches were telling me was get comfortable being uncomfortable. So that kind of always stuck with me through almost anything you're doing. That applies to almost everything. Going to college, a PWI, I'm not used to that coming from Brockton High, where it's almost the same size school. We have 4,000 students there, but majority, it's extremely diverse. So I'm uncomfortable going into college, but that's where I strive. I'm going to get comfortable being uncomfortable and kind of try to exceed as much as possible. So I feel like for a middle schooler, is that quote is really something that would stick with them, because that would get them to try new things even if they're not liking it. Kind of try to get comfortable with it where you're able to do it, and that could benefit you like in the future and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think to the quote that always comes out when I'm hearing about comfort zone stuff is like, growth happens when you leave your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the one liner that plays in the back of my mind. And as much as I feel like I know I do, but most humans are inclined to stay in your lane, or stay in your comfort zone. But anybody that wants to be good or wants to be great, that literally means leave your comfort zone, whether it's pushing yourself to do more within what you like or trying something totally new. Like, that's the only way to grow. And that's been a big part of even my journey lately at Coaching for Change, like trying new roles, helping to develop new departments. Like, even with a degree and a concentration in marketing, I haven't used that degree since I graduated. All of a sudden, Coaching for Change doesn't have a marketing department, and we need to start promoting things. So, okay, Pete, you're in charge of the marketing department. Like, go figure this out for us. And that's like, I love the last year of what I've gone through to try to develop that, because it's helped me be creative. It's allowed me to experience some failure in a way that, like, I don't lose my job. Coaching for Change isn't going under. I had to try some stuff. Some worked, some didn't work. Let's learn from that. How do we make these things work, or ditch them because that's too expensive and isn't going to happen moving forward? And where can we find help? Who knows more than us about this that can guide us in the direction? A lot of you guys have talked about guidance from whether it's a past president or parents or older siblings and stuff like that. That's so important, no matter how old you get, is like to find somebody that might be good at what you want to be good at, and just ask them. Like, you're like exactly what you were saying. It's just like, I want to do more like what you do. Tell me about how you did it. And everybody likes talking about themselves, so it's just like, don't tell me how to do it, tell me how you did it, and let's go from there. I love that you guys brought that up. And so a lot of this trying new stuff that you have been talking about so far involves letting go of what's familiar to you and kind of leaving what you grew up with or what you're comfortable with behind, as much as you carry some with you, and everybody has their like core values that you move forward with. But how have you coped with kind of moving to next stages? Because I feel like that's a constant theme, like whether it's moving from elementary school to middle school, or moving from high school to college, or taking on a new role as club president and stuff like that. Like, what's been your process of being okay with moving on?
For me, I'm a very visual person, but I'm also extremely futuristic. So like, I have like a vision of where I want to be in like next year, 5 years, 10 years. So I guess like for me, like every time I leave that step, it's for me like, okay, like I accomplished that. I'm getting closer to where I want to be in that next year, and then closer to 5 years, 10 years, 15 years out. So just like me, like every day, like being futuristic, seeing the things that I want. Like I saw somewhere, like if you constantly have that vision of that car you want or that house that you want, you keep, seeing it, you try to like, touch it on a poster or whatever, like there's a good chance that it can happen to you. So I think like for me, having those like futuristic thoughts, and like just doing things like that has definitely helped me, like when it is time to leave that stage, take on a new challenge, just like dive head in first, and just be like, okay, like I'm getting closer to the dreams that I want. And it's like, it can happen now, I finished a step, I can see it happening. I'm close. I just got to keep going. And I think that like helps encourage me and keeps me going.
Yeah. And is that for you a written plan? Do you vision board? Are you a online researcher? Like, how do you create that for yourself?
For me, it's both written and like just research.
Okay.
I'm constantly trying to, figure out like what I'm gonna do after school, like with the money that I make, or like how am I gonna be able to, retire at a good age, or just like help my family out, do things with my friends. Like how am I able to live the lifestyle that I want to? And so just like constantly like researching, and as well as like writing it down, like check, past junior year, check, senior year's next, pass that, graduate, get a job, pass the CPA, get my licenses, and just keep doing a check, until I can be like, hey, like I have done everything that I'm supposed to do. Like I can do like my dreams now. And so just like being futuristic, seeing what I want, as well as like writing it down and researching has definitely like helped encourage me.
Awesome. What about Josh and Christian?
The question was, how do we get comfortable?
Like, how do you let go of what has been comfortable and gotten you here as you keep moving on to these next stages?
I like to, whenever I start a new role or position or chapter, stage, however you want to phrase it, just think about the new benefits, like silver lining kind of thinking. Like, so recently I interned in Arkansas. I was in Fayetteville, Arkansas for about 11-ish weeks with Procter & Gamble in a whole new role, whole new city, just went out there. And, there is pros and cons to everything, but a way that I thought about it was just like, so what are the pros of being out there? Gas was super cheap, groceries were super cheap, rent was super cheap, was really fun. Interns, the people at the company were just finding the pros of the situation that I was in, or whatever situation you go in, and like, okay, what could I do now that I have this? Like, what else can I do? Or like, now that I'm here, like now that I was there, I was able to go to Missouri, I was able to go to Oklahoma, I was able to go to Memphis, and take those little trips and other things like that. So just being able to weigh the pros of your new situation, it helps you distract yourself from like the change that humans fear. So like just always thinking about the pros of where you are now.
Yep.
And did you go to Arkansas because of an internship or because of just like you're interested in Arkansas for a random reason?
No, I interned there. So
Okay.
I was interning with Procter & Gamble at the Walmart customer team. So
Nice.
I was able to go out there for a little bit. Do
Did all go
professional
anywhere? They said, all right, we need you in Arkansas?
Nah, I don't think Arkansas is going to be for me.
Okay.
But, the door isn't completely closed with Procter & Gamble, but, the company was great. They showed us great time. Appreciate the experiences and skills that I developed over there. But, there's always a different chapter.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what I got working right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's awesome.
I would probably say it's a little bit of what they both said, especially with like the futuristic, always kind of looking ahead. That's something that kind of gets me to go is no matter where I am, like I know that, and also what Josh says, like with the pros and cons, like whatever I'm doing right now is more than likely going to benefit me, so I can kind of further my career. So that's what I kind of look at, and also with the be comfortable with not being comfortable. It's like, hey, I might be here, but so for my internship as well, it was different. I wasn't used to that environment. I kind of just I'm a very quiet person. I like to just look around, notice everything, and then after that I kind of react and then see where I can go with it. But I definitely do think the futuristic, I always plan in advance. I create backup plans just in case. So I've gotten I want to go to the Big Four. I want to get my CPA license and everything. But just as a backup case, like I already took all my real estate classes. So all I have to do left is take the exam. So it's like I already have backups set up so that I know worst case scenario. It's like I have something to rely on. So everything I do is with a purpose, and I know even though it might suck and just be horrible, it has a pro and it's gonna benefit me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are like so mature.
Yeah.
I wasn't even close to as mature as you guys were when I was 20, 21 years old.
No way.
Like I'm wildly impressed.
Yeah, I hear a lot of keep your receipts.
Yeah.
Something Marquis says all the time is like understand or reflect as often as you can on like how did I win today? What was, even if it was a small thing, you feel like the whole day was kind of a disaster. There's some little win in there somewhere, and how do I find it to grow from that to move forward? I think that's awesome that that's already kind of coming out in some of your stories and goes a long way in pushing yourself to keep going. One of the things that I got to put you on the spot because you haven't brought it up yet naturally. I know that there's a clothing line brand that's being started. Some entrepreneurship is going on in this group. Can you talk about where that is now, but also like why'd you start it? How did it get going? What's with the brand? Plug yourself a little bit.
All right. Do you wanna? So me, Christian, and another friend of ours who wasn't here named Junior started a clothing brand called Super Black. It kind of started as a just avenue to express ourselves artistically. It started it started just as an idea concept of some cool clothing that we ourselves would like to see, and it actually didn't even start with the name Super Black. It started with the name Create Character. And then that's why we use the 2 C's in the Super Black. But we kind of just went at it, just I don't know, just started it, and it did well. Like our friends liked the clothes, and then it was really when at first we were just trying to see if we were able to make the clothes that we liked for our friends, and then seeing like other people buy it and like starting to produce sales, we started to create other different clothes and like expand a little bit. So I don't know if Christian wants to. What do you want to?
Yeah, it's kind of just from the start too. It was really kind of random. It was like just a little text like we should start a clothing brand as like a little. I thought it was like a little joke, but then after that we kind of like created the first shirt, and it was Create Character. We were trying to give a process to give other people a way to like express themselves through clothing, so they can feel better about what they wear and just express their characteristics and everything. Then we switched over to Super Black, and after seeing like our first drop of clothing, seeing that people actually liked it and people were viewing our story and following us on Instagram, I feel like that's kind of when it clicked, and we were like, all right, we could kind of get this rolling. And then the fashion show was like a great way to promote it. There was nice. Me and Josh was up till like 2 a.m. just printing shirts by hand, in my room, and my dorm is probably 10 times smaller than this. Like it was like a little closet, so it was a really good experience, and I think we can really make it big. We took a little break over the summer just because I had an internship and he had an internship. We were kind of like separated, and we were both working full time, so it was like extremely busy. But now that we're back, we're planning on making some new designs and everything.
Nice.
So you mentioned some like expression of both yourselves and your character, but also some artistic expression. Is there art in your backgrounds? Like how did that come about?
It's all kind of just what's off the top of our head.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, I would say the artistic person is Junior.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in terms of like the way it's like divvied up, it's like Christian has been, I don't know, we don't have like titles or roles. We all just, make it work and do what needs to be done. But like Christian always makes sure it can be done. Like, is that something we could do? I have always like been behind the website and like messing with like the designs and efficiencies and things like that, naturally just being the computer engineer. And Junior himself is a model, so he has that artistic view and like what looks good on clothes, what doesn't, things like that. And the sketch itself, we've kind of upgraded, I would say, to now it's not like our hand sketches. Some of our earlier designs were like things that we literally like Junior drew on my iPad and like we like cleaned it up and screen printed it on a shirt. But now we're able to have designs go back and forth with designers. We've collaborated with other smaller artists to get the ideas of some of our artwork done and bring them into like doing a line. And I would say we have a good chunk of work in the queue.
Okay.
So definitely a line or two dropping around the fashion show time. So definitely expect some on-hand stuff for that. And those go really well when we sell. Like when we did sell at the last fashion show, it did pretty well. So just right now we're in getting ready to get back started and see where it goes.
And I think to add on to that, like what's different about our clothing brand is, so now what we've recently been doing too, it's kind of our designs have been added like with the story. So that's kind of been, we did so even like the one that I'm wearing right now, and other one that was our most popular one was Love Hurts. That's because we know a lot of people, it was around Valentine's Day too. So it's like for all the people who like have been heartbroken, who have been like emotionally like damaged and everything like that. So we created a shirt that would kind of express that emotions. So it was like a whole bunch, it was like 2 pills with like love just going through somebody's skull and then just going right back out, kind of, because it just goes right through you, and like it really does hurt, and it's like it's heartbreaking. So like the skull was like a little broken. So there's like little things that we add to kind of relate to people so they can feel kind of like that's their way to express themselves too.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I'm rooting for you guys for sure.
Appreciate it.
I like how you've divided up the roles in a really intentional way. You say that you don't have titles, but like as you describe it, you have like the art director, you have like the sales and technical side, and you have the operations and logistics concept. So that's a nice division. But Isaiah, so now to put you on the spot here, as the objective, observer here, how do you see the brand around campus, and what's the evolution look like from your perspective, seeing it, well, kind of from the inside, but on the outskirts?
Of course. It's definitely big, amongst our friend group. Definitely seeing people outside the friend group as well. What they didn't mention as well is that they also expanded from the clothing side, so they have like phone cases. Definitely seen some people with that on.
Yep.
And things like that. I could definitely use one. My phone's broken. But definitely see, some people on campus wearing them. Like they said, like the fashion shows, it's a great way to promote it. Definitely, once they drop like their clothing line, keep it going. At one point, I wanted to buy a hoodie, but it was sold out. So it was a nice light blue hoodie. Definitely waiting for it to come back. Yeah.
You missed out on that one.
Definitely waiting for it. All right. Well, they're not coming back. I guess it's exclusive.
I don't think those ones is coming back either.
But yeah, no, definitely see the brand, well throughout campus and can keep going as well.
Cool. That's awesome. How does the concept of entrepreneurship land with you guys in terms of, it seems like you're so well thought out in what those next steps are, and nobody mentioned being an entrepreneur. Is that something where if you could run with this clothing line or other types of businesses, that's something you'd want to do in your future?
Yeah, for me, that's been my goal since elementary. Was my whole mindset was I want to be my own boss. Like obviously I'm gonna have to work for somebody else, but that's to get me to the point where I can work for myself, and I pick the days that I want to work. And that's always been my mentality. So even now, everything I'm working for is just so I can get to that point where I have enough like equity and funds to be able to provide for myself and work for myself, and then try to help others out and have people kind of working for me. But I don't really know what exactly is going to be the company or what I'm going to start, or if it will be Super Black, but I'm kind of very open-minded and always wanted to try something new. My brother also is like a really big mentor to me. He took risks. He started Selfie World. It's a franchise already. He started that in Boston, in Somerville. It was extremely big. It was the first couple months, it was extremely big. The revenue was ridiculous. I didn't even believe it, because you're charging somebody $20 for an hour, but then the amount he was making, I was like, doesn't make any sense. So just seeing that, and then one thing led to another. It ended up not working out too well, and it kind of failed out. But just seeing the whole process of it kind of motivated me, and like I want to do that trial and error till I find the one.
That's awesome.
I don't know. For me, entrepreneur-wise, I think I'd like to start my own thing. I don't know what that is yet, but I also don't mind working for someone. It's never been like a goal of mine to, start my own thing, have my own name, very laid back. But I definitely would like to, start something on the side, just as a hobby. I'm really big anime guy. Something like anime related would be really cool to, start on the side and just like have something to come from home from after my 9 to 5 and be like, hey, like let me work on this for a little bit, as a way of like expression and whatnot. But I don't know, entrepreneur wise, if I would like to, be my own boss, the headache. I don't know if I'm good with that. So.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is pretty big with me as well, though it's not. I'd say I'm leaning more towards how Zay's feeling in the sense that like I have the goals that I have set for my career don't have so much of an intersection with entrepreneurship and that type of time that is required for a successful entrepreneur. But like Super Black has showed me the possibilities of like being able to create your own funds and your own wealth and things like that. But I don't know. I kind of, like I said, I gain and lose interest in things extremely quickly. But when I do something, I like to do it all the way. So if I do get the opportunity and availability to become an entrepreneur, then that would be in the cards for me. But I don't know, just vibing.
And I was just thinking back too, and now like I'm really noticing I do enjoy it. I started off in middle school found keychains on AliExpress. It was like little sneaker keychains. So it was like I was buying those for 13 cents. I was going back to school and I was just selling them for $5 each. And it was like, if it was easy, I was gonna sell it for $7. And like that kind of got me to start. And then after that, I went into actual helped my brother out, and we started doing like the same thing with AliExpress. He created a website, and I was kind of help marketing it. And he was like, every like chain or bracelet you sell, like I'll give you like a little portion. I was like, yeah, I like this. Like I'm gonna strive for it. And then that did very well. Then probably like my senior year where I had a little bit of funds, I ended up buying a shoe, sold the shoe, and then that kind of really brightened me up. And I ended up going from $150 to buying my first shoe to the end of 2020, and I made like my first $10,000, and I'm still in high school, and it was like, yeah, I like this. I was like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of always stuck with me.
Marquise, did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was.
Okay.
Yeah. I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
If it wasn't sports, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I used my time in college. I bounced around. I thought I wanted to go into HR. Thought about marketing. Thought about PR. I got my undergrad in communications, and then from there I went into finance. And then from there I went to education and started coaching for change. So, as I said, you guys are very logical and linear.
Yeah.
I'm like chasing butterflies.
Yeah.
So, but no, I entrepreneurship was never a part of it. And I mean, I think that like when I was in college, I really was hit with like the social impact bug. I really wanted to do something that had an impact on people. Mm-hmm. And housing was always a real passion of mine. So that's I was always interested in real estate, but entrepreneurship wasn't there.
Yeah. That's fair. Switching gears a little bit, because I've heard you guys talk a lot now about mental toughness and about like following your path for yourself, like being true to yourself and authentic. In the culture today, there's a lot of buzz around mental health. It's finally becoming an acceptable topic of discussion and support and exploration. I'm curious to hear from your perspective. I mean, just, I guess, starting out basic, what does mental health mean to you?
I think it's extremely important. I know a lot of people that went through issues with mental health. That's kind of also what has me wanting to help out others. So, and what we do in barbershop, it's kind of like a way you can talk about anything, like your feelings or anything. I always do think having a friend to talk to, like I speak to them I speak to them every single day. So it's like anything you have on your mind, just get it out. I think it's better to speak about it than hold it in, because mental health is very important in it's kind of scary. I had somebody who was going to the gym every day. Like, you wouldn't even expect it. He was so happy with a smile on his face, but kind of just reaching out to people and making sure they're okay. I would have never known he had any issues. He always had a smile. He's always being helpful to me, like helping me out. And then I moved to school and then find out that he committed suicide. So it was extremely like crazy. So after that, it kind of like really made me start reaching out to my friends more and like on a serious note, like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, not know, oh yeah, I'm good. Like, how are you doing? So I do think it's important to make sure you're just reaching out for your loved ones.
Awesome.
Yeah, like going off what Christian said, just, checking in. Like I talk to these guys all the time, FaceTime. He's my roommate, so he's got the unfortunate being knocking on his door. But yeah, just, reaching out, and like just constantly making sure that, you're okay, as well as like your buddies are okay. And just like knowing for like your personal self, just knowing when like you need to take a step back, and just like really sit down and be like, hey, like this is a lot for me. Like I'm really going through it. And, just knowing like to find the right resources and like just asking your friends for help. Even if it means like you got to take a few days off work or off school, and just making sure that, like no amount of money, no amount of time, like you are important. And I think like in this day and age, like thankfully, like mental health is now a big, like you said, like it's more acceptable now to talk about. I think for guys as well, like we're supposed to be, strong, we, don't cry. And I think like that is something, like boys don't cry, stop crying. I think like that has a lot of damage, and it teaches men to, not express themselves. And so like just making sure that, it's okay. Like it's okay to cry. Like guys cry, like it's normal. Like we're human beings. It's okay to open up, let our emotions out. It's like better to do that than, not being able to say goodbye to someone, you know what I mean? And so just knowing that when it's time to, really just take a step back, have a good cry, talk to someone, and just be like, I'm not okay. Like I need help. That's the strongest thing you can do. And just knowing that and going forward.
Yeah, to me, mental health is like how well you're taking care of yourself. The way I like to think about it is life gets real quick when you're taking everything on by yourself. So like, just always, well, I feel like I've always been a great advocate for myself. I've always not necessarily given myself slack, because I do like hold myself to a pretty high standard, but just like knowing like, all right, you bit off a bit too much here, you need to like take a little break. Or if you fail at something, knowing, okay, I failed at this, but who knows what I'm gonna do next. And like, there's evidence in what you've done in the past and things like that. So I don't know, just kind of giving yourself the time you deserve, because without that, I feel like I'm not able to really do like anything else really that you're trying to do. Without centering yourself and your development first, you kind of stunt your growth in every other aspect. So kind of got to take care of the root so the tree grows well.
I like it.
So just building on that, are there kind of tools or activities that you guys have used that help you? You talked a little bit so far about talking to each other and being open. What else do you do to like help yourself stay grounded and course correcting or processing?
Me, I feel like now one of my biggest things is working out. I feel like I found that a way that I could release like all my stress and everything. I haven't really, I started probably last year. I was kind of going through college, like always stressed, didn't really know what to do. I'd just be on the game, or like I just go hang out with one of them. I feel like always being around somebody too, and not always kind of being by yourself was something that helped me, to not like get into my head or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, working out definitely was something that has really helped me out so much. And then just kind of taking care of yourself. Like I've a lot of hair. Sometimes like it's too much work for me. I'll just like call one of my friends and she'll come over and she'll help me out. She'll do my hair for me. And it's like a nice way to like, you're relaxing, you're still communicating and socializing. So I definitely do think taking care of yourself is probably the biggest thing for me.
I would also say, big gym guy. Like I dedicate like those 2 hours just to me. Like that's just my way of like taking a break from everything. Like I know like 5 to 7 I'm going to the gym. Like I'm done with homework, I'll come back, finish, I'll come back, study. But like I need those 2 hours, just really take that time for myself and be like, take a break, it's okay. And just like hang out with these guys talking, like when I'm down, like, hey, like, can we go play ball? I know they're always down to play basketball, so like that helps. But just like also knowing like they're there for me, like my family's there for me, and just like taking that time for myself. And like Josh said, like knowing when I bit more than I can chew, and just like humbling myself in that, like, hey, like you thought you could do it. I'm glad you tried, but like it's okay to ask for help now. You know what I mean? And going from there.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say the main like avenues I use for self-care would be like meditation, not necessarily in a formal like sitting down crisscross applesauce kind of thing, but just like in my own space, just by myself. Maybe lately I've in my new apartment I've been going to like I think it's a little league field or like a softball field. I just kind of just sit on the bleachers over there or like shoot around, play basketball. I found with our university, we have a lot of spots on the water. So like through the different places I've lived, through my undergrad, I've just found like the closest spot to me with like a water view or like where I could hear the water and chill by the water or, something like that. So for me, it's going in nature by myself or something, or just sitting by myself and just going, thinking about your day. Like, what did you do? How did you win? What's next? Kind of like realigning yourself.
It's awesome. One of the things that we want to hear from all of our episodes and guests is advice that you would have for middle school or elementary school students. Like if you were talking to your younger self, what is one piece of advice, whether it was given to you or wish you had heard this earlier in life? How would you convey a message to the kids out there that need a little piece of what do I do now?
It's crazy. I'm gonna cut you off, Zay, because you started all of them. But what just came to my mind, and it's like has me thinking like where I am in my life now. But first thing that you said, like middle schoolers, I was thinking about how broke I was in middle school. Like I personally didn't have any money to like say I had money. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know if I had a wallet for real in middle school because I didn't have an ID. It was literally just whatever change I had, and like whatever basketball short probably had like the most money. And so like whatever, but just saying, I was just thinking like to use your birthday money for like a CD account, just to like start saving and learning about banks, because I didn't know what a certificate of deposit account was until a few months ago. Like not even too long. Like not even but like that was like one thing I would say financially, and then more socially, like things aren't as cement as they seem, and like your friend group now is like dang, like so set in stone, and like everyone has their role in place, but like just being open with growing as a person. I think if you as a middle schooler could be comfortable with yourself, you're like omniscient. You know what I mean? You're like a god as a middle schooler. If you could like not care about the opinions of like what shoes you have on, like you'd be super mature for your age. So just like, be more comfortable in yourself and get savvy with finances, especially if you aren't fortunate enough to have like a parent or guardian who's like doing that for you. So just like even just thoughtful savings and the social aspect.
Yeah, I would say make connections, because that's something I didn't do. Like I said, I was like always the quiet kid in class, never really spoke. Just start reaching out to people. Like even if you see like the quiet kid, go up to him, talk to him. You don't know who you guys are gonna become in the future. So it's, what if you're trying to start a company like 20 years later, and he has exactly what you need? It's like, oh yeah, I remember you from school. Like, hey, it's kind of you build a connection that can further your career with him, and you don't know what people are going to become. Always like kind of reach out, network, make sure you're meeting new people. Don't try not to be that shy guy, and just like be friends with them. Financially too, I would definitely say save. Any single dime I got, I was all on sneakers. I'm a big sneaker person, so it was like whatever money I got, I was like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna just go buy some shoes. Like the money comes and goes, but I definitely do think start to save, because once you get older, things do get hard. You get more bills. So I think starting young is kind of really good. And then something that my brother did was he added me to his credit card. So it was like the day I turned 18, I already had a really good credit score. So it was like kind of try to talk to your parents, and if by the time you guys get to high school and you're with a 750 credit score, it's like you're really the man. So I would definitely say financially start saving, and that is something that's younger, probably like high school, but start saving and try to make new friends and everything, and don't be scared to try everything you can. I personally think try things now rather than later. So yeah.
Awesome.
I would say the same, be social, but also be okay with being alone. Like learn how to be comfortable within yourself. I found that like if I knew that when I was younger, probably make my life a little bit more easier. Friends aren't everything, it's not the end of the world if someone's like, hey, I don't want to be friends with you. It'll suck for a little bit, but it gets better. Yeah. But as well as like keep being social, keep making new friends, keep making those new connections, but also be true to yourself. Like know what you stand for, know what you won't do and what you will be okay with doing. On a financial side of things, keep saving like they said, but it's okay, pay yourself. So if you get $100, spend like 20, $30 of it, and just save the rest of it. It'll go a long way. It'll teach you discipline, but as well as being able to spend money on yourself, like what you want to buy, but also having money saved just in case, like, hey, like, oh, I need a new, phone or something like that. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, I gotta work, I gotta keep saving. Like, you'll have that money when you actually need it, but you would have been able to buy something that you wanted as well at the same time.
Yeah. Just emphasize, there's no downside to saving, because it's hard to, I wouldn't even know how I would go about trying to instill like the significance of like percentages or interest and like what is it called, like starting early and how that
Compounding.
I don't even know how I would start to explain compounding. So just like explaining that, like, you're not gonna hurt anybody or lose anything by saving. You just have more money, and not to be so important about what's going on right now, because you make all the cool friends in college. So
No, but it is true. I love what you guys all said. I don't know as much about you probably in terms of money as with your internships and CPAs and all that stuff. But the social aspect, I think, is a big deal of like being comfortable with yourself, and figuring out how to be alone is super important, because there's always going to be a time when you're alone, and being able to be okay with that is a big deal. And the concept of just meeting new people, it doesn't feel as important when you're younger, and there's probably no way to like convince everybody out there that like trust me how far that goes. But it's crazy. I was talking with Marquise the other day about how many people that I went to high school with, some I knew before high school, a lot I just met during high school, that are now in unreal positions of power and success and all this stuff, and they pick up my calls now, or they'll answer my emails and help me out or connect me with somebody, or doing those, the mayor of Lynn was a year above me in high school, and it's like nobody ever would have been like, oh yeah, that guy's probably gonna be the mayor of Lynn. Like, you don't know, but by just reaching out and getting to know people helps you just expand your options when you're older. The state rep from the Suffolk District 5 was one of my buddies in high school, like the funniest kid in the CAF, and so I always wanted to hang around with him, and like everybody knew everybody likes him, and this is how he used it. He's now a state representative, and his brother's a state senator and all this stuff. And so when we're doing stuff in Boston, we get to call on him. And you never know who's going to be doing what and where they're going to be. And so just growing your network is such a big deal.
Yeah, no, definitely. You guys are dropping knowledge. I feel like.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking time on a Sunday to come talk to us and chat it up. And I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here. Obviously, keep in touch. We want you a part of the Coaching for Change network as long as you're willing and able to be in there. And thank you to everybody who's watching and listening out there. This has been another episode of the Coaching for Change podcast. Don't forget to check us out at www.c4cinc.org. You can reach out to us that way, get involved. We're always looking for new mentors. If you heard anything here that you can relate to or want to learn more about, please reach out, let us know. Happy to connect you to one of these amazing people.
You can find our Instagram at official_super black. That's official_super BLACC on Instagram. So that's where you'll find us. The next and latest line coming soon. So thank you. Give us a follow.
Just get involved. We need more people helping out the kids and sharing stories about how they've gotten to a place of success that's worth hearing about. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You're gonna be great.
This podcast is presented by Coaching for Change, empowering college students to ignite change in the next generation. A special thank you to our inspirational podcast participants for sharing their stories with all of us. To the amazingly talented Trey Mutava and Mutava Music for the soundtrack of this podcast, to the Fall River Public Schools for donating the space, to Rowan Edwards for filming and editing this podcast, and of course, to you, our listeners. To get involved with Coaching for Change or make a donation to the nonprofit, please visit www.c4cinc.org or find us on social media at Coaching for Change.